Hello. I just came in from an ill-fated attempt to get some sun on my face because it is the jungle back there. It's 10:30 in the morning. The sun is pretty high in the sky, but there's so many trees back there. As you can see, it's a bluebird sky. There's so many trees back there. There's no sun getting through. So I sat on these steps for a while that are like this broken up concrete steps that lead to the back, and put my face toward the sun because some sun was escaping there. I'm thinking maybe I don't know if I can make it there because it's all overgrown. But if I can make it up on the neighbor's deck out here out the window, then maybe I can sit in the sun a little bit, you know. Um, but yeah, tomorrow is, I forgot to do that thing for poison ivy. Tomorrow is dentist day. There's alcohol on my hands because there's a bunch of, I know there's poison sumac. I don't know what poison ivy looks like. Get that stuff off of there. I got some itchy. That's psychosomatic, probably. No, that's from when I got mad at the trash can that was back there being in the way, so I kind of just like swatted it out of the way, overestimating my strength, and it rocked back, and then it came back and hit me, and dinged up my hand a little bit. So I was just going to knock it over, but then I just threw it the other way out in the yard. The lid's not open on it, so if what's his name actually does live upstairs and wants to throw his beer cans in this big giant can that's back in the back there. I heard a couple of cans rattling around in there when I threw it out into the brush. Um, but he's gonna have to go open the lid anyway, so it's no big deal me throwing it. You're throwing it out of the way because there's like a concrete platform out there that doesn't have any weeds on it. The rest of the whole place is weeds. The trees are all overgrown. The only time you can catch sun is like probably 1, 2, between 1 and 3 o'clock, I imagine, is the only time you can catch sun back there. Like yesterday, I went out there at 2 o'clock and there was plenty of sun. But I didn't want to sit out there too long because I was afraid that I would turn into a pile of dust like a vampire since I don't get to go outside. I did not get to do any stress inoculation for my appointment tomorrow, so yeah, my stress level's gonna be pretty high, but there's always dope. My tooth is kind of bothering me, and it's kind of worrying me as far as like if they can save it or not. I don't know. It's like once you get pain, it usually means it's in the nerve, and then you got to get a root canal and kill the tooth or get the tooth extracted. When I had these teeth pulled, they said they could pull these two, and one of them two was, they said they could save these two, and one of those two was looking pretty ragged, so I have to not think negative thoughts. I need that tooth, because I need it to connect a partial plate, because they're going to have a hard time connecting a partial plate on the other teeth, because this is an incisor and sticks out a little bit. You can put a little wire hoop over top of it. Ah, the joys of getting old when you're in your 50s. It's ridiculous. I'm 52. It's a ridiculous life. But anyways, how are you? It's kind of like foggy looking in here. I wonder why that is. I don't know. I smelled dope like really strong when I walked outside. And then when I was sitting on the stoop, I heard the woman, Stampy, walking her dog. And I was like, I don't think she can see me. Then I'm like, I'm okay. And of course, it's like the only time I've been outside, like, for any length of time for 2 days in a row, and I run into the guy in the wheelchair that I don't talk to. And I just took my time walking up the steps while he was putting stuff in the garbage can. I didn't make no eye contact with him. I pretended like he wasn't there. And his daughter was out there and said something to him briefly, and I just walked really slowly up the steps so he could see me. And she split, and then he beat feet back in the house. He didn't try to talk to me or nothing. I haven't talked to him since my toes got broke on November 8th of last year's, where he circumvented circumvented me about water dripping in my apartment, and then went around my back and talked to the landlord about shit going on in my apartment. And then I was like, "That's it, man. We're done." You know. And he was saying all kind of like nasty stuff. And he's like, "Do you want any?" You know, he wanted to make up like right away. And I'm like, "Nope." I said, "We're done. We are done." That's how I work. It's like I'm very patient with people, but you reach a certain level and it's dead. You know, it's just the way I work. I don't ever care if I see my foster brother again. I just don't. I don't. I would like to. Well, I would have liked to make up with my sisters just so I wouldn't have to think about it. But I don't think about my foster brother because I don't owe him a goddamn thing. My sister was always nice to me, but that guy was a user from his 20s, man. My sister was always like pretty nice to me, and then she like just turned psycho, and then wouldn't admit that she like turned psycho and just like stuck to her guns and didn't want to admit what she did. And I was like, well, like I said, that taught me how to hate, and that wounded me very deeply. So she made me suffer and suffer pretty badly at a time where I'm going through like Xanax withdrawal and stuff like that. Just to intensify everything. Instead of getting the support you need, you get like stomped on and ground out like a cigarette. You know. So I would like I said, I want to move into my brother's house, get all that family bullshit reconciled, hook my brother up, get rid of my cat, and I had all these plans, but my family is fucking. So what can you do? They don't make no sense. They're never gonna make any sense. Yeah, this tooth is feeling weird, like right now. I've been taking my antibiotics for it too. I got some left in the bottle. Looks like 4 or 5. Um, and I've been taking this antibacterial, this stuff for it. It's got like antibacterial agent and a numbing agent in it. But usually once you get pain, that's the way they go: root canal or extraction. So fuck, I hope I don't have to make that decision. It's like I will gladly plunk down $1,200 and have them file it down and put a cap on it, or whatever the hell you call that, a crown or cap or whatever these two things are. But anyways, that's my problems. That's not particularly interesting. Um, an interesting thing that happened was the real estate agent guy that is supposed to be helping me out and shit. Uh, Again, he screws up the appointment thing. He said, "How about we have an appointment? I got to schedule an appointment with you. How about 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Cool." And I'm like, "Okay," literally okay in the text. And then I got shit to do, and I don't check my text message until he gets off of work. And then he's like acting like I didn't say it was okay and asking me all over again. Like the okay is like right there. And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But then the next day I wait around like a dick until about 11 a.m. and then text him, and I'm like, "Well, what's up?" And he's like, "Did I like wait too long?" And he's like, "Yeah, you did." Laugh out loud. I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then I got up early. Like I didn't get no sleep, and I got up, set my alarm early so I could get up for this appointment. It's not funny. And then like he says like, "Okay, how about Friday between 4 and 5 in the afternoon?" I'm like, "Fine, that sounds good." And I was like, just to be clear, it's the appointment's at 4 to 5. It's cool. Just since because of the last fuck up. And I'm sitting there like an asshole last Friday, and again, it's getting to be like on toward 5 o'clock, and then I get a text from him saying, "I meant next Friday. Sorry about that." And I'm like, "The fuck?" And then to make matters worse, he's like texting me the next day and giving me like platitudes, like, "You're stronger than you think. You can make it. You can make it through this time," and like whatever. And I'm like, "Man, I don't want to hear that shit, man. I want to hear like, I got this place I can take you to and show you that you can move into." You know what I mean? I don't want to hear like a pep talk. Yeah. So he said, "You're stronger than you think you are," and I wrote back, "I hope not, because my ego is already big enough." And I was like, I've had CRPS for 33 years, and I understand there's peaks and valleys, and I'm in a valley right now with some bad circumstances going on, and I understand that, you know. And but I was like, the fuck. Um, but I won't go into the guy's history or what I know about him or anything like that, because that would be rude. But you know, that's his job. That concerns me, so I'm allowed to say that shit. But I know something about his personal history and past and shit that may or may not be relevant. Anyways, I'm talking to the psychiatric nurse, and he's like, "Have you been looking for a place?" And I was like, "Yeah, it took me a while, but I found a place." And I described how it fell through. And I said, "Yeah," and then I was going to move into my brother's, and he said yes, but then he said no, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that." And I guess, "Yeah, that's." He's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, first he said that uh, uh, he was having anxiety attacks thinking about me living there. It's a 3 bedroom house, and he has like a bedroom set aside with just like a tools and an extra TV in it that he doesn't use. That he never uses the room except for to go in there to get tools." And so he's like, "Yeah, it's always nice to hear that, you know, your brother who you talk to 3 times a week, the idea of you being around him, you know, is causing anxiety, even though I would probably be like any other living circumstances that I had where I lived with somebody. I'm just off in a room most of the time, and you know, I'm a loner. That's my nature. I'm just stuck in a room here because of the noise, but if there was somebody else living in this apartment with me, I would just be in this room, and then I would pop out and spend a little time with the person, then I go back in my fucking room. When I was living with the one person, they were like knocking on my door bothering me because they wanted more interaction. So, you know, it's not like I'm going to be in his hair or anything like that. But anyways, he said that I was causing him anxiety. Thinking about it was causing him anxiety. And then I told the psychiatric nurse, and he said also he said that if I lived there, you know, for 2 or 3 months, he'd just end up resenting me. And I'm like, he's like, "Well, I don't understand that." And I'm like, he's just got emotional deals. He got emotional problems. So, um, you know, I was like, maybe it's for the best. Just, you know, maybe there's some things you just can't fix. You know, sometimes family. If I would have made, you know, the thing of it is like once it's like sunken returns, or the theory of sunken returns. Like, you know, 'cause I've invested like my whole life in my family, and I'm kind of like stuck. I kind of like gotta ride it out. You know, make the best of it, even though they haven't been particularly kind to me. So I just didn't see it working out this way. I, I'm a Pollyanna type, if you haven't gathered that yet. You know, I'm like Mary Poppins. It's like chim chimmery, this motherfucker won't screw me over again. And it's like, you know, or maybe I'm insane and doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It could be one of the two. Anyways, tooth is irritating me. So I'm definitely going to the dentist tomorrow. Get that taken care of before it becomes full blown agony. If they have to pull it, they have to pull it. I mean, what the fuck? 52, man, and I got less teeth than some 70-year-olds. It doesn't make any sense. And I go to the dentist. Like I said, I had a cousin doesn't go to the dentist for 30 years, ends up losing 4 teeth. I go to the dentist and keep on top of my teeth, and I got about 4 teeth left. So no, it's a it's just a genetics thing. You know, it's just the way it is. Like some people like have a high metabolism and can smoke like chimneys and not get cancer from it. And some people smoke and they get cancer from it. Some people um, drink and they don't get like the bad effects of drinking. It's weird, you know. Um, anyways, but yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't got a lot going on. I need to get more exercise. I think I need to start walking on this leg. But now that it's like hot outside, Uh, it's gonna be hot. It stays hot at night. It's like getting up in the morning. Sleeping's been a problem for me and shit, but my leg has been exceptionally painful. I told the psychiatric nurse, he asked me what my pain level was, and I said it was like a 9. You know, because and the Neurontin I think makes it worse because you take the Neurontin and it gives you some kind of like relief, or and then when it wears off, it's like fuck. You know, so it doesn't seem to be a good thing. And he called it a potentiator. You know, I knew what he meant, but I like to make him feel good. I was like, what does that mean? He goes, well, it means it amplifies the effects of the benzodiazepines, which I already knew, but a potentiator, that's just weird. I had never heard that word before, but I already knew what he meant from context. Um, but anyways, yeah, I've been writing a lot on the computer about the protest thing and the unrest, you know, and about race and how I don't believe in it. I'm just sorry I don't believe in it. The idea of race or categorizing people in groups according to the way they look, it goes back to the times when we believed that the sun revolved around the earth, you know, pre-Copernican times. It goes back to the times when we thought witches could curdle milk while it was still in the cow by casting a spell. It's just a nonsense idea um, that people believe in, and they like it. They like the idea. I don't know how many times I've talked to people, and they're like, this one woman I had an argument with called herself Onyx. I should have had a clue because onyx is popularly associated with the color black. But she was like, I'm a black professional woman, and I'm like, I don't care. I was like, if you're going to debate me, she's like, I'm an MD, because she was saying something about um, there's a difference between. She was like snide. She was like telling me, she had a called asthma, bronchospasmodial, whatever the technical term is for asthma, and asphyxiation. And I'll give you time to ponder that difference or whatever. And I looked it up and I said, listen, death by asthma is slow asphyxiation. It's the same fucking thing. And she did not like that at all, you know. So I was like, and that thing, I said, and that's actually pretty funny. And there's no way you can be an MD saying things like that. And she was like, as a matter of fact, I am an MD. You know, so she didn't like making a mistake. You know, like doctors don't make mistake. I am a living mistake. I am a living doctor mistake. It's like, so, yeah. She was like, oh, asthma isn't has nothing to do with asphyxiation. And like, okay, I know better than that. Uh, so she didn't like that very much. But anyways, she's like, people like the idea of race, and it's all based on the eye test. You know, you look at somebody, and if they're dark enough and they got the kinky hair, you know, you say black. It's like I use the Obama thing all the time. You got a black father, you got a white mother. Obama come out a white mother, but we call him black because of looks, period. And it's like, that is sexist. That is saying that the male genes are better than female genes, and I like women better, so I claim him for Team Whitey. Obama is white as far as I'm concerned, because he come out a white mama, that make you white. So that's, yeah, it's just nonsense, you know. What happened is, you know, the cradle of humanity is Africa. This is what science tells us. Then it branched out and had to adjust to different climates. So you get people with pale skin like me because I'm of Germanic origin. It's fucking cold. You know, we don't have to worry about the sun beating down on us, yeah, and stuff. So the people that stayed in Africa, they're darker than me because they got to deal with a whole lot more sun. I got to deal with snow and ice and shit because I decided to be a dumbass and go off where it's cold. And then you got like, I'm not exactly sure why Asians develop the epicanthal fold that makes their eyes like that. But they don't expose as much eye, and it might have something to do with sand, or it's some sort of Darwinian evolution type of thing. But biologically, these are very minor differences that don't merit categorization. But we like to categorize people. You know, it helps us to identify a guy. If there's like a bunch of guys in a crowd, there's like an Asian dude, you can say, you can point at the one guy and you can say the Asian dude. If a cop's looking for somebody and they're of dark skin, they can say black suspect. Or if they're white skin, they can say white suspect. So in a way, these are like useful categorizations to us as human beings, as far as identifying like that guy when we don't know their names. That guy, and that guy. I'll leave a link, if I haven't already, for Morgan Freeman making Mike Wallace stutter like a stuttering prick, Joe Pesci would say, because he had no answer for him. He's like, instead of I being a black guy and you being a white guy, how about you refer to me as Morgan Freeman and I refer to you as Mike Wallace? And it's a very famous moment, and I think it has millions of views on YouTube, and you may have already seen it. But if you don't know a guy's name, it's a useful thing to point him out. But yeah, I made other points on there, like it's like I probably got how much black genes, or I use the term black blood because it's a reference to slave times. They actually had rules, like you may have heard the word octoroon before, like that means you're like 1/8 black or whatever. But they had rules like so many drops of black blood in your family line and you're black. We're still using slave rules. We haven't really advanced from that. And there's plenty of black guys, or supposed black guys, through history that have gone into the white culture and passed for white. There's probably plenty of white guys that could have done the same thing and passed for black, except for who the fuck wanted to do that back in the 1800s or the early 19th century. They had anti-lynching riots. People don't know this, but they didn't have any anti-lynching legislation in the United States until the 1930s. So, you know, anyways, I've been spending my time writing about that a lot. And people are, they never heard of the Human Genome Project before. They never. It's just a crazy idea to them. It's like something gets repeated enough, people believe it. The Lizzie Borden example. There's still people that believe that Lizzie Borden murdered people because if you say something enough, it becomes the truth. So we have this idea of race that's just generally accepted, and it's like, of course, if you want to use like logical fallacies, it would be ad populum. In other words, like, well, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that race is a real thing, and just because everybody knows something or everybody thinks something, it must be true, right? No, that's a healthy way to think. There's this guy named Henry David Thoreau that had an expression called a majority of one. If everybody is wrong and one guy is right, that one guy is a majority of one. That's his answer to the ad populum fallacy. Anyways, that's just me. I like to keep everything real simple, but basically that's what people do. It's an accepted idea, that these differences are of some sort of significance. But if you look into the science behind it, science has proven that yeah, this race thing, this is all shit we made up in our head. It's about equal to, in scientific validity, to witches and shit like that. It's just there's no science to really back that it has any biological utility. So one of the things that I read that I found out that was interesting is, like, when I was growing up, I was always told that black people are more prone to higher blood pressure because they're black, and black people are more prone to sickle cell anemia because they're black. Well, the high blood pressure thing, it had to do with stress, living in a society where they were seen as second class citizens, and they got the whole history of mistreatment. It doesn't go that far back. you know the 60s was the big revolution. So that takes generations to weed that out. So you have that history contributing to the higher blood pressure, and you have diet. And I ate me some soul food because there was a bunch of people of a darker hue than me that lived upstairs, and that's some greasy damn food. It's interesting. I mean, I never had soul food before, but I mean, it was stuff like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to trust that these people aren't poisoning me. They did a cookout, and they knocked on my door and offered me this plate of food, and I recognized, like, it's almost nothing on it. I remember, like, the first time I saw soul food, somebody was eating speckled butter beans in the hospital across from me. That was a nurse. And she's like, well, I'm from Louisiana, man. This is soul food. And I'm like, well, I've never seen those before. And she goes, they don't really, they're not really popular up here. Speckled butter beans. Then she had some cooked greens, like collard greens, maybe. She took her own lunch. That was the first time. She didn't share it with me, the bitch. But no, I didn't want any of it. I was just kind of like, what's? I just asked her about the beans because they were speckled butter beans. They had little specks on them. So, anyways, so high blood pressure got nothing to do with being black. Got nothing to do with the color of the skin. Okay, sickle cell anemia. That is a adaptation, a genetic adaptation to combat malarial mosquitoes. So they found out this because they were like, hey, there seems to be a high incidence of these people that are rather light in color, where they are genetically predisposed to sickle cell anemia. What is the common bond between these darker people and these lighter people? Oh, they live in this area that has, like, malaria is a common disease, and sickle cell helps you fight malaria. So, it is a Darwinian adaptation that has nothing to do with what shade they are. So that's another myth that was blown up by scientific research, and it's just dumb. It's just all the stuff that's happening is just dumb. The whole idea, until the idea of race is discarded, you will always have these issues, because you will always be able to group people into groups and consider that a significant thing. That's like an important thing if you want to. And you can always have people like that lady that didn't like me because I was white. Her name was Onyx 2020 was her name. She was funny. She was like, I wish you would put your real name instead of writing under a pseudonym. And I'm like, is 2020 your surname? You're doing the same goddamn thing. Yeah, she was just so hateful and so full of anger. It's like I didn't fuck with her too much, because if she really is a doctor, she could do a lot of harm. It's like yeah, I could shred your arguments to bits, but I'm not doing that, because you're so full. I just said she wouldn't talk to me directly. I said, look, we can have a civil debate. I will promise right now that I will just attack your argument. I won't say anything bad about you. Meanwhile, she's ranking me out with the dozens. But written debate is my thing. So she didn't want no part of that. She didn't want no part of me. She just wanted to hit and run and say a bunch of bad shit about me, and like, that's all I got to say, and then leave. She came back to say, I'm not afraid of you. Is that a threat? And I'm like, what are you talking about, a threat? It's like I just wanted to have a civil debate. I just promised. I said I mentioned that she was insecure and that she was relying on the fallacy of appeal to authority because she was dressing up her argument in fancy medical lingo and spouting out the fact that she's black and somehow that gives her a special insight, magical, into what is happening. And she is an MD and all this crap, and you know none of that matters. I was like, man, I don't care if you got an MD, I don't care if you have a PhD, I don't care if you got a Mickey D. You argue with me, you're gonna lose. It's just the way it works. If you give me time to think, I will make, the way to debate somebody is not to attack them, it's to just lead them to the hole. But you just let them talk, and you think ahead, and you just lead them into a hole, and then they fall, and it's their own doing. You don't have to do it. It's just you don't have to do anything, but let them. You just don't have to do anything but get them talking, and then you can just lead them down the primrose path, and let them fall in the hole of their own making. That's, anyways, that's only interesting to me, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, what's going on in the country is like really unsettling. I don't know how much COVID is fed into it. Most of the riots are actually not riots; they're peaceful. The action around Washington D.C. not so peaceful. That wasn't peaceful at all. But I mean, there are riots. I will post a link to a very interesting video and a very ironic video of an Australian. If you want the straight dope on what's going on in America, you do not go to the American media. You go to an outside country. So there's an Australian reporter on the scene when everything blows up in Minneapolis, where the shit occurred in the first place, where the guy was murdered in the first place. So he's there, and he's there as the police are trying to arrive. But I won't. In case you want to watch the video, I won't spoiler it for you. But that's a couple of links that I can put down. It's the Morgan Freeman link and the link to an Australian guy covering what's actually going down. That's another thing is like the black doctor lady, as she referred to herself, uh, was saying, the riots were a result of hundreds of years of oppression. And I'm like, well, if you look at this video, there's a whole lot of oppressed whiteys in the middle of this crowd of people going nuts. So, that so much for that. But, so, anyways, yeah, I just got to get through tomorrow. Get to roll the dice. It's like this would have been taken care of already if it wasn't for the COVID situation. I would have took care of this in March. So, that's just a damn shame if I have to lose that tooth, or I'll be bombed out of my skull. I don't know if I'll have to I might dip into the Xanax. I don't know, but I'll be bombed out of my skull when I go there. I didn't get to go anywhere this week because I don't, SARTA is just shut down. SARTA Proline, it's just shut down. I wanted to go over to my brother's house, who I cause all that anxiety to, and just hang out there for a while, just because it's a stress inoculation trip, like I had talked about before. But they're just shut down completely. And then as far as like COVID, I mean, I don't even know how seriously to take that anymore. How real are these statistics that they have, you know? And it's just the media is just not trustworthy. They're just not. American media is just not trustworthy. So at the same time, I'm in the highest risk category, so I guess I could take a cab over there or an Uber if those things are still up and running. But I don't know who was sitting in the seat before me, and I don't want to. There are obviously people dying of COVID. There's no question about that, and I'm in the highest risk category. So this seems stupid. Like if I get on like the SARTA bus, the cool thing about that is like I can be like 12 feet away from the driver because they have a lift on the back for like people with wheelchairs, and the driver can stay in the front. I don't have to be anywhere near him, you know. And I imagine when they schedule trips, they're scheduling trips with just one person on them. Maybe that's why they're shut down. It's like they can't schedule trips with more than one person on the bus. So, anyways, I won't have to worry about that tomorrow. I just have to be ready at 9 o'clock and sit in the back seat of a little minivan that says, I forgot the name of the transportation company. It's on the card right here, but it doesn't matter. Um, Scenic View Transportation. And sit in the back. Driver will be wearing a mask. I'm, of course, clean as a whistle because I don't have no contact with nobody. That's the problem. And so just have to get through it. And I'll just be doped up. You know, my stomach, I got to eat, man. My stomach is not happy. And yeah, I took a bunch of dope last night to go to sleep. And I woke up at 6 in the morning, which is cool. Not to taking a whole bunch of dope part, but I had to make sure that I got up early so I could get up early tomorrow and you know, get some sleep tonight. And considering I've gone nowhere for 5 months, 6 months, I don't know when's the last time I went anywhere. I can't even remember. I know my doctor ran for the hills. I was only going to like doctor appointments and dental appointments and psychiatric appointments. I wasn't really visiting anyone's houses or anything like that. So I know my doctor ran for the hills in late January. It's June, and I know I think the last time that I saw the psychiatric nurse and went into Coleman bodily was probably in January, because you know COVID hit in February, I think late January. Yeah, late January was the first United States case. But anyways, that's enough. I don't want to talk anymore. I have to go eat, and yeah, my stomach is yelling at me and saying nasty things. And so, anyways, I hope you're having a good day, or I hope you're about to have a good day, or if you're watching this late in the day, I hope you had a good day. So, uh, I will see you when I see you, and somebody's out there riding around on a motorcycle, having a good time. So, anyways, I will talk to you later. Goodbye.